Let's look forward now. Let's get to the present. So if they were to call you up today and ask your opinion about how they should structure coming back and putting together whatever they're going to do to finish their season and then playing for a championship, what would you advise?
Well, I think there's so many options, and none of them are great, right? And the season has been disrupted like no season ever before. And so I think all the teams have to have a big picture vision of this because everybody wants to capitalize and make as much money as they can. TVs, people, owners, players, coaches, all of them, right? So we get that. And then there going to have to be some element of sacrifice to make it the best for the fans as well. And so to me, I've never liked the idea of a play-in. I wanted to see it be structured as the 16 best teams, like I've always wanted it to be. But I do understand this year is different. They may have to do something to maximize the money and to create what I would see as gimmicks in a normal year. But as we all know, this is anything but a normal year.
Yeah, of course. If you were, because Mark Lazary was saying the other day, maybe they bring back all 30 teams. It doesn't seem likely that's what will happen. But if you were coaching now, for example, Golden State or the Knicks or another team that is out of it, and they said, for the good of the game, we want you to come back and play some games and finish things up, how would you feel about doing that?
Well, I would feel about it just like I would if you were asking them to finish the regular season uninterrupted. Those last 15 games are drudgery for non-playoff teams and the teams that are so far out of it, like Golden State. And so you do a mix of play your veterans, play your young guys, experiment in some ways without compromising the integrity of the game. And I think every team should be more than willing to come back and more than willing to finish the season, because in a normal season, that's exactly what you would be asked to do, and you should be willing to do that now.
Jeff, you mentioned gimmickry a moment ago, and so let's look at some of the possibilities there. It feels like this is an opportunity to try some different stuff. So I have long wondered, in fact, I've long espoused the idea that if you just took the 16 best teams in the NBA and you seeded them 1 through 16 and took the conference out of it, that you might have a better postseason and you might have a chance for a better finals. And I've always been told travel is the reason that you can't do it. Well, that isn't going to be a problem if everybody is in Orlando. So what do you think of the idea of seeding them 1 through 16 and playing it out that way?
I've long been a believer in what you believe there. I think it should be the 16 best records. I think the regular season should be structured East and West. And after that, when you get to the playoffs, you take the 16 best records and you seed them accordingly. Is that fair? Not totally, but I do think it brings your chance to have the 16 best teams in the playoffs. I think it helps. And I think the whole travel restriction thing is overblown. They fly on charter flights. They have the best food. They have the best ability to rejuvenate their bodies. I don't want to hear about, oh, we can't do it because the shrimp may not be chilled by landing if we have to go across the country. So stop all that nonsense. And particularly in this year, Mike, I would have no problem if you seeded it 1 through 16 if it's in one place. I think it would give you a good look to see, is this something we want to pursue down the road? But please stop with this. Travel would prohibit it when you're on charter flights and you're eating the best food and you have many, many people participating and helping the players feel their best and perform their best.
I love it. I'm with you 100% of the way. Jeff Van Gundy, when we were interrupted 2 months ago, who did you think was going to win the championship?
I thought Milwaukee was going to win it. I think they had the best combination of defense and offense and star player. I think they also, with the East, had the easiest path to the finals and were not going to be challenged very strongly by anybody in the East. Now, to me, it really, I have no idea after 4 months. This is, to me, Mike, this is a whole different season that we have coming up. The 1920 season, it's done. It's completed. All we're bringing forward is our record and our rosters. But you don't know how fearful individual players are going to be. You don't know what they've been able to do. You don't know, particularly coming back like this, about injuries. There are so many variables that This is a whole new season, and I have no idea of what to expect, nor what the rules are and what the format's going to be.
Well, I guess we'll wait and find that out. Let's talk about the West, because I think the last game, I know it was the last game that I watched before it all got called off, and I think you were doing the game, was Lakers-Clippers, which are the two best teams in the Western Conference. And there was LeBron putting on an extraordinary show and beating the Clippers 2 days after he had beaten Giannis and the Bucks. So I guess I would ask you that about the West. Who did you think was going to come out of the West when we got called off?
Well, it's hard to bet against LeBron and Anthony Davis, but I do think the Clippers have the best built roster for long-term playoff success. I love their team. I love how Lawrence Frank and Doc Rivers have put that thing together. And I think they are a terrific, terrific team. And what was interesting is if that would have been a Western Conference final, home court to me, obviously, if it was between those two, would have had no bearing. I mean, think about it, you have no advantage, really. You're playing in the same arena for 2 weeks. It would have been absolutely fascinating to see a Western Conference final competed in the same arena for 7 games.
Yeah, and look, it would have been basically 7 home games for the Lakers if you judge from the way the fans sounded in that game. Maybe we wind up getting that in Orlando between these teams, but all other things being equal, I just want to make sure that we're clear on that. You like Milwaukee. If I say to you right now, everyone's going to come back and be the same, your prediction is you think Milwaukee wins the whole thing?
I do. I love their defense, and I love their depth, and Giannis's intensity and ability to draw 2 people going to the rim is exceptional. Like I said, the battle through the West may sharpen them more than what Milwaukee will have to travel through. So that's, I think, an advantage for the Western Conference team that ultimately comes out. But in the end, I think Milwaukee's the best team.
Let's see what it is.